What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Avenger comic book review. As we get even closer to 500, this is the 496th episode, which means...
What does it mean?
I don't know, just 4 more episodes until we hit 500!
That was an American number 4. You did that.
Yeah, what was that doing on a number 4? We're not in July yet.
I forgot.
We'll count it for Memorial Day. And actually, my books came out... Or the books came out for this episode on my birthday. My birthday actually fell on a new comic book day. And look at that. We are rounding out and almost at the end of the Dark Avenger comic book review. And I get for my birthday, new comic book day.
Yes, and that of the comic books that were released, they were released on your birthday of May 29, 2019. The last week of May.
And the second to last time you're going to be saying that.
Right, and we have exactly 15 books.
Yes, and we're sorry this is late. This is being recorded on Wednesday. You all are probably going to be seeing this on Thursday. We need to get into this week's books ASAP so we can get back on track. We cannot afford to be late, especially so close to 500. So, no pre-show. Some of these books I didn't read, like the one that's right here that we're going to be starting off with. I didn't finish reading it, but we're doing this review to get it moving, get it going, and move into the last 4 episodes, because potentially after this episode, every single comic book we review from next episode on quite possibly will be the last time we review each of those titles, unless they double up. Some books do double up.
They do.
But for the most part, most books that we review don't. So these will be the last issues of each of those titles. Quite possibly might even be starting right here. We don't know. We don't know. But there's only 4 more episodes left. 1 month. 1 month of books left. Before this is all over. And I have to tell you all again, and then we're getting into the books. Mark it on your calendar. I really, truly wish I could make this live stream, like set it up. I feel like it's still too early to set up this live stream for July 1st. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Maybe the week before. But don't forget to mark your calendars on July 1st, Monday, 9 or 9:30. Again, it'll all be there when I set up the live show. It'll be 9 or 9:30 the latest p.m. Eastern. We are going to be doing a live show celebrating the 500 comic book reviews, the ending to that, and the beginning into the next part, which a lot of you are going to be happy about. A lot of you might not be happy about. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I urge each and every one of you, because a lot of you have been asking a lot of questions about where this channel, what's going to happen with this channel. And I know I've said it before on the live show. I'll be able to sit there and talk with all of you and explain things out. And we can go back and forth and do like a semi-Q&A about it. So definitely, please, I hope to see all of you there. I really, truly do hope to see all of you there, especially all of you that have asked the questions, that have asked about, with one channel moving forward, what's going to happen next. I hope you're all there. I really do. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I might even bring out the books we talked about for 500 and just so we could discuss them again a little bit with everyone. We'll see. It all depends how long that live show goes with all the stuff before it. That's it. That was actually 3 minutes, almost going on 4 minutes. Let's start. Angel number 1. I have not finished it yet. I am glad to see Boom Studios bringing in Angel. I have to finish reading it. I do want to promote it though. I'm very happy about it. Like Buffy, I will be collecting this in trade. The art was really good for the book, in my opinion. Was it as good as when it was on Dark Horse? I think it was. It's different, yes, but at the same time, I feel like it's a nice fresh take on Angel. And I would definitely say give it a try. We're going to try to make these reviews a little bit shorter also because, again, we are super late. We want to get these done.
Alright, next one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Urban Legends issue number 13. At first, it was a little bit boring, but then it got pretty good. Because after I was reading this, I'm like saying, okay, this was going to be my make or break for me because the way the story is...
I don't know how long this is, Urban Legend. That's the thing.
Well, the Urban Legends, like, this is where...
No, I don't know how many issues long it is.
Right. I'll tell you where we're up to. So, basically, Donatello faces Deathlock in round 2, I believe. And Raphael finds Shredder at the end. he finds Shredder at the end of this issue, and I think he's going to either fall into his steps, if you remember reading it.
I never read Urban Legend.
Well, basically, he defeats the Mafia who are going after him, and, well, that happens. Yeah, and there were lots of other stuff, too, that was in it, but, yeah, the whole thing of the whole Raphael probably going to be in the whole Foot Clan thing, because when that was happening, something told me that Raphael was going to, like, something was going to happen. I wouldn't believe it, but after seeing this, it all makes sense, basically.
Speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, TMNT issue number 94, which means, I gotta take a pause for a minute, that means issue 95 actually will be the last, it'll be on the 500th, I think. If everything falls correctly, it'll be on 500. It'll be the 95th episode, issue. I don't know why I'm saying episode. It's going to be the 500th episode, 95th issue. And we're only going to be 5 away from TMNT 100. Now, man, and I'll probably end up reminiscing a little bit on 500. It's going to be a long episode, but, man, to think, I think TMNT issue 1 came out right after my 200th review, or my... No, right after my 100th. Maybe it was close to 150 where TMNT issue 1 came out. You can do the math. I'm sure there's an episode where I had them all the first issues. But, man, it's just crazy how it's been this long. And I'm glad that TMNT... I'm really glad that TMNT has lasted as long as it has. And I truly do hope it continues forward. But going back into this, really quick, City at War is happening. You got Splinter dealing with people who are siding with Karai. You've got Jenica, who's in trouble, and they go to Harold and his wife for help. You have April reaching out for help. You got the Mutanimals that are getting involved. And now the city's basically is at war, literally. And the Mutanimals are taking the war to Null. Now, anyone who read the Mutanimals miniseries, you know that Null and the Mutanimals have a problem with Null, and old Hobbs said he was going back to them. And I'm not going to give away the ending here, but there's a decision made by Raphael that's kind of like, oh, so this is what it's all culminating to, or what it's been building up possibly to. And I will say this, it would make sense if Raphael ended up with the Mutanimals for a time at some point, because of the way things have been for him. But again, even if he doesn't join the Mutanimals, or if he goes off on his own, it makes sense. I feel like after this big event, this big City at War, I really truly do hope TMNT is not ending after City at War, because that's kind of what the formula's always been. And we had City at War, if you all remember, way back when, and then there was a fallout. Now we're at City at War again. It's how the original series ended. I don't want to see... I would really, truly love to see this series continue, but we got Krang, we got a lot of other stuff that's going on in the TMNT world, so there is a very strong possibility we're going way beyond issue 100. But I really, truly hope we go beyond, like I said, 100, and we keep going with the Turtles, because it's a very strong series.
Bloodshot, Rising Spirit, issue number 7, with, yet again, no cover. Anyway, this one talks about, basically, Bloodshot came out of the whole lab experiment, and the whole nanites with the army trying to stop him is... Bloodshot's being, like, really indestructible. But the Bloodshot that we all thought of... See, I thought it was Ray, but it actually isn't. This is a totally different person. I forgot what his name was, but we actually see Ray at the last, the issue. And it's going to be Bloodshot versus Bloodshot, because Ray was the first Bloodshot, but someone else who is doing the whole nanites of Bloodshot is somebody else. So... The next issue, which is going to be on sale June 26th, is going to be Bloodshot vs. Bloodshot. And the last time I'll be reviewing...
That's crazy.
Bloodshot in the review. That is crazy.
And the Dark Avenger review.
The Dark Avenger review. Marvel Action Comics Spider-Man 2-in-1 issue number 1. This was an enjoyable read. I liked...
It was, the only downside with this was, I think it was an $8 book.
Was it? It's $5.
A $5 book, okay.
Alright, but there's just 2 stories. There's,
what the hell's wrong with Thor's art there? Okay.
I don't know, but, yeah, in this issue, it's just, talking about how Flash Thompson goes in this haunted house, and he gets bitten by this, werewolf-like person who turned, Flash into a dog, and he takes him to Doctor Strange, and then he says to retrieve the hair before sunrise, or else Flash will die. So he goes there, and then his whole big fight thing that happens, and he does retrieve it somehow, and actually gets there before sunrise, but was actually in some other map's time. So he was still early, because Spider-Man thought he was too late. So I thought that was something. And then in the other stories where Spider-Man had like a...
Enchantress, that's Enchantress.
Right, with Thor's stuff like that, he gets all lovey with him and then does all these things for her and then finds out from Thor that she is not to be trusted. And that's basically the whole gist of the book for that. So I liked that story.
And speaking of... This is...
Yeah.
By the way, our Marvel this week, we're in the big two already, and Marvel is all Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Every single book
I've
is
actually noticed
Spider-Man.
that. And we're going to start with the War of the Realms, Spider-Man and League of Realms issue number 2. Which actually, again, it's... I mean, Spider-Man must be a real fan wearing helmets this week.
Well, I think the other cover
with
was
the cover.
I think the other cover was
It was meant for
to
story
echo
too.
this, yeah.
Yeah. But this one, it's just the whole realms, and then everyone's like trying to join together, and then Spider-Man's like saying, we don't kill, because he's really trying not to be like them, saying, because though the realms kill people. So they fight all these dragons and whatnot. We have these big the Realm Nightmare, I think it's called, or something like that appears in this issue, and they have a fight, and it's to be concluded where he's asking somebody to kill him, and that's to be continued.
Spider-Man City of War issue number 3, continuing forward, this time with the main focus on Mary Jane. For those of you, again, we're getting deep into the game now. If you didn't play this game, number one, definitely play it, especially if you have a PlayStation 4. Why haven't you picked this game up yet? It was a fun game. It examines her relationship with Pete. It goes deeper where she finds out that Martin Lee is actually, why did the name? Mr. Negative.
Oh.
And Pete goes off to try to chase after him, meets up with, it's Silver Sable, but in this game, they call it something different at first. Mary Jane gets into some a precarious predicament, let's put it that way. But we all know who played the game where Pete and Mary Jane are going by the end of this arc. I liked it. There were some extra... Again, with this book, they throw in what happened in the game, and then they give you a little bit more. And they certainly did give you a little bit more. Leaves you off on a great cliffhanger with Martin Lee having a bunch of hostages, and now he wants to meet with Mayor Osborn. To be continued.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Norman Osborn is the mayor in this game verse.
I thought it was Wilson Fisk.
No. In the comics, it's Wilson Fisk. This is the game verse.
Oh, I forgot about that. And the saga concludes with the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 22
that's it. This is the end already.
Hunted, part 6.
It's so sad. Every time a Hunted ends with Kraven, spoiler warning, he dies.
Yeah.
Or he's killed.
I thought I was the only one that thought that. Like, Spider-Man's fighting against Kraven, and it's like a really intense fight about how they're fighting each other, and there's like different flashbacks and whatnot. And we actually have Connors, who actually comes in as the Lizard to actually help out with this fight. And yeah, it's just... in the end, he finally understands everything. The whole experiment where they were under the helmets and everything, they get relief.
Everything ends. It just abruptly ends.
It's just...
And then Kraven's son kills him, and Spider-Man goes off to save Mary Jane because the vision apparently is true, so he has to go find her and make sure she's safe.
Yep. And that's it for Hunted.
Yep. Now we go into the next arc. Superior Spider-Man issue number 6. 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing along with the crossover with War of the Realms, teaming up with Doctor Strange. I almost said Doc Ock. It's Doc Ock, but it's Superior Spider-Man teaming up with Doctor Strange as a flashback to when Doctor Strange was, a doctor, then when he lost his talent, and now we're in the present where he is the Sorcerer Supreme, and Doc Ock is on his second chance. They team up, they beat Argmondo, long story short, if that's how you pronounce his name even. And then Doc Ock asks for one favor, for Doctor Strange to erase the memory of him admitting he's Doc Ock to his fellow co-worker. He says he's not going to do that. He didn't like that he did it for Spider-Man, but he did it for a just cause. And that was, if you all want to know one more day, go right ahead. That's the one thing that I feel like really buried Spider-Man for a while. I was glad we got away from that, and now we're back to somewhat of a similar world with Spider-Man. I mean, we still have a long ways to go, and hopefully involving not Dormammu. Who did he do the deal with? Yeah,
Mephisto.
With a fist going into Mephisto's face, but I digress. Superior ends there, and it's going to continue next with the Frost Giants attacking Manhattan. So, if you thought it was over, the crossover War Realms, no. There's at least one more issue. Now we're going into DC Comics, and we're going to start with DC Black Label. Batman, Last Night on Earth, Book 1. This was a thick book. It was thick. It was filled with stuff. I swear, this was the last full book I was able to read, which is why Angel and everything else kind of, I had to read it. Scott Snyder and Greg Capello. Basically, if you enjoyed the Batman DC New 52, you're going to love the art and you're going to love the writing in this book. It's psychedelic. It's crazy. All of a sudden, we go from Bruce's Batman. He wakes up and he's in an asylum. He wakes up and it's all of a sudden it looks like it was all a dream. Like he went nuts. And he created this for some apparent reason. And Alfred is trying to help him. He's like, sir, you think you're Batman. That's not. Basically, it's like the story where a superhero gets stuck somewhere and he believes. And what happens is he lived in a fantasy world. So in this case, it was like Bruce was in a fantasy world. There never was a Batman. It never happened. However, we find out that it did happen. And this book was crazy. There's so much to talk about with this book. So we get this cowl back. That's what Mike's up to. And it's in chapters. I think there's 5 chapters in this first book. He gets his cowl back. He makes Alfred admit that, this all was wrong. Alfred apologizes. He ends up in a different place then with the Joker. And then, let's just say, long story short, we see Wonder Woman in here. He gets his cowl back. And the book ends there. I'm really excited to see where this story goes, to say the least. It's really fun. I'm sad that, unfortunately, the Dark Avenger comic book review will not be... it'll be ending before this book ends. The book ends at issue 3, so... I think 3 or 4. Unless it skips a month, I'm not sure. But this was a great first read. Definitely check this book out. Worth the money. Dog Days of Summer, however, which I want to make sure I'm correct here, was I think it's a $10 book.
Well, dude.
I can't tell what it was. I'm not sure. I think it was a $10 book, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, thanks. I can't show the cover now.
All right, well, while Mike's getting it, it's DC Comics special for the season. Dog Days of Summer. It's all of the animal pets in the DC Universe. Crypto story was the best. It was the first story. It was the best story. And then everything else just falls out to Bat Cow. Beast Boy story was good, but always the Crypto story was the best. That was hands down the best. When that story ended, the rest of the book was just okay. So, again, is it something that you should just go out and grab for just the Crypto story? No. As much as I love the Crypto story and as wonderful as this book was, if you like the animals in the DC Universe, give it a try. Otherwise, it's definitely something you can wait till it's on sale for. Now, I think from that book, we have all either annuals, beginnings, endings, and middles to events. The Batman annual, Batman Detective Comics annual number 2 involves the Mask of the Phantasm, the Reaper. And if you thought you knew the Reaper, it's not what you think when you read this annual. I was expecting to see Andrea. It's not. We find out the backstory with the Reaper in the main DC universe, and we find out throughout that the Reaper's back somehow, and it's the Reaper's son. But the Reaper's son is not being the Reaper. He's using other people, or other people are being the Reaper. But basically, he's being... It's just insane. And it's this black mystery book, so there could be more mysteries in there, like unfinished stuff that we might see in future annuals. This was a good annual. Again, this was a thicker book, and actually I read through most of this. There's still a little bit more. I really needed to digest this book a little bit more again. Now, from this point on, we're getting an ending, we're getting a beginning, and we're getting a middle. In that order. Heroes in Crisis issue 9 is the ending. Oh boy. So, from what I've heard and from what people are talking about, DC editorial are the ones that picked who they wanted Tom King to put in place when it comes to this event. Like, who did it, why they did it, and basically he wrote the story and they basically copy and pasted Wally in as the one that did it. And this book is them finding the one clue, the one and only clue that brought them 5 days into the future to see Wally, to stop him from killing himself, where actually the him that was going to kill himself didn't kill him in the end. And Wally apologizes, but this is all crazy, especially if you were a kid who grew up in the 90s, such as myself, where Wally West was the Flash. He was the Flash. Barry was gone, forgotten about. Well, not forgotten about. I mean, we always thought about Barry. We love Barry. It's because of Barry that we survived the Crisis on Infinite Earths. But anyway, Barry wasn't there, though. It was Wally. Yes, Wally got married. Yes, Wally had kids. Yes, I understand the trauma of coming out of the the Speed Force and not having his wife, not having his kids, losing everything would definitely impact him. I don't see that pushing him over the edge to the point where now he's in jail because he killed all those superheroes, whether it be on purpose or not. Poison Ivy's weird, but Poison Ivy keeps changing. From one minute she's a green, like, Swamp Thing, and then you go back to another book and she's completely, mostly human again with her plant abilities. So with that, I don't care. I love the Booster and Blue Beetle stuff in here. That definitely was the shining factor. But otherwise, no, there was just nothing here, you know? The ending with Wally and Jell is just like, wow. And this all sticks, and everyone is dead now except Wally. So Roy's death stuck. All the other, the lower characters like Lagoon Boy and all of them count now. All of them are gone, but Wally survived. Could this be a setup for a future event? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. I don't know what DC has in mind for the future. I mean, it always is a speedster that either sets something up or, you know, it's always involved in those big universe-changing events. But, yeah, this event was just, I would say middle ground for me. From the beginning was so strong, it was so great, and then we got to the middle, and things started to fall off for me, and then we got to the end, it was just like, this was... Because it's so hard to see how Wally could be redeemed after this. It really is, and I feel bad because that's not how I wanted Wally to be. It was so great. He came back. The Teen Titans were back. The Titans were back. The original Titans were back together, and then it just all fell apart. Why? For Heroes in Crisis. The beginning. Superman-Leviathan Rising, which is a big event. It's Brian Michael Bendis' event in DC, starting right here. And the Leviathan contract, or Leviathan in general, event starts this. As a matter of fact, it comes out in 2 weeks. Leviathan issue number 1. It's going to have crossovers, I believe. It's going to be in Superman. There's going to be a Batman one-shot. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of crossover with the Leviathan. So, Superman, there's 3 stories here. There's a Superman one, there's a Jimmy part, and there's a Lois part. So, Superman finds out more about Leviathan. He sees that they're in Clark Kent's apartment. He plays along with them. He gets captured. We find out that Talia is the one we think that Talia is the one running it. He gets put into that kryptonite vest that we all saw in the cover. And that's where everything goes wrong because, as we all know, Clark Kent is Superman. And there's no way for him to save himself if he's already trapped in kryptonite. Anyway, lo and behold, the true leader. Now, we also have Lois, who's now looking for Superman. So she reaches out to the Justice League. They go looking for Clark, well, as Superman, not as Clark, but they go looking for him. She mentions about Leviathan being back. There's a Jimmy Olsen part in this book, which was awesome. This is my favorite part of the book. And if this is anything like what we're going to be getting with the 12-part maxi that starts up next month, I'm ready for Jimmy Olsen now. The Lois Lane one, however, is not connected to Leviathan. So whatever 12-part maxi series Lois Lane is having, that's going to play into something with Superman later, which makes me believe that at least for one more year we're going to have Bendis on Superman because somehow this is connected to Superman and it's going to lead into Superman possibly. I don't know. We'll see. But it ends with Clark being saved by Lois, Firestorm for some reason, and Jimmy. And Superman's up. He mentions about there being another leader. He sees that the leader gets pissed off at Talia for what she did with Clark Kent. Tries to kill her. Superman saves her, puts her in jail. And now it looks like Leviathan is about to make their move. And it leads into Leviathan issue number 1. The middle book is Doomsday Clock issue number 10. And this book was surreal to read, honestly, because Dr. Manhattan is traveling through the DC universe, and he actually travels, and we see Superman's timeline. He's like, it's 1938, and Superman's parents, both of his parents are dead. He becomes Superman. It's 1986. His parents are alive. He's super connected to humanity, and he becomes Superman again, yet again, because this takes place after the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Then Dr. Manhattan messes with the DC universe, and he changes one event, which causes Superman to lose. He ends up being the reason why Superman loses his parents. So his parents end up dying. He never joined the Legion of Superhero. He is the most disconnected from humanity possible, and Dr. Manhattan likes this. And thus he becomes the Superman we saw in the New 52. Fast forward again. I love how Dr. Manhattan's like, this is the Superman I can relate to, so it even proves even further that once this event's done, that is not, hopefully that's not going to be the case. And then he says he knows that Superman, that he's the bad guy in the DC universe, which is true, and that Superman and him are going to get into a fight, and either he's going to die or everything is going to end, because there's nothing beyond his confrontation with Superman. So I'm very interested in seeing where Doomsday Clock is going to go. However, and unfortunately, Doomsday Clock is a every other month book still. So we unfortunately, this book is one of the books. This is the last issue that is going to be on the Dark Avenger comic book review. There are still 2 more issues. I probably will cover them somewhere, somehow, because I am going to want to end the event. This event, at least, because this is a big one. So it is sad to say that this is the last time we're going to be seeing Doomsday Clock on the Dark Avenger comic book review, but it's not over yet. We still have 3 more episodes after this.
Yep.
But for this episode, that's all. So thank you all so much for being here. Feel free in the comments below to leave your thoughts on the books we talked about this week. Likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, recommendations. We always like to hear recommendations. Even though the show's almost over, we still would like to hear your recommendations, because we might be missing a book that you really like that we might actually really like. We don't know until we see it. So, till next week, everybody, and hopefully we'll be seeing you, if not on Sunday, the latest Monday. Take care. Keep reading, keep collecting. We'll see you all really soon in the next episode.
Hey, everyone.